Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be working on the Escape again, 2011 flavor. So this video actually started I don't know what it's been, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I replaced the front wheel bearing, driver's side, on the 2011 Escape. Whilst pressing out the old bearing, I had a little problem, and I'll show that to you right here. I can't believe this thing. Why is this not coming out? My goodness, I think it's pushing out the snap ring with it. That's exactly what's happening. The snap ring, I don't know how it's so welded onto that. I saw the tips of this thing coming out, and I'm just gonna have to go around and work this around. I'll be back. That actually looks like I might be able to pound on that and reuse it. But that is not supposed to come out like that, guys. So let's go throw this back in the vise and see exactly what the hell's going on. I barely put any tension on it, and I was about ready to get the camera. Got my hand up to here because that's where the camera was sitting, and it went snap. And it gave free. I don't know what happened, but it was stuck. So what happened was, while I was pushing the hub out of the center of the bearing, the whole entire bearing had become stuck to that hub, and while pressing it out, the big snap ring that holds the bearing gave way, and I think it distorted or somehow jacked up the sleeve that the bearing resides in, because this bearing made noise as soon as I put it in. So rather than pressing another bearing out of this, I got on Amazon and I bought the entire hub, steering knuckle, bearing, all that. I bought that whole assembly, and let me just show you what I got. Got Moog on these, and it came with a new nut, which is their good style of nut, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But this is what we got. This is a entire brand new assembly, ready to roll, and it's got the bearing and the hubs already there. It's all pushed in. Anyway, let's get this thing up in the air. We'll get the tire off, and let's just get going. The first thing we're going to do now is we're going to take these brake calipers right off, and that utilizes an 18. There are two of these bolts in the back. grab us something to hold that up with. You can use this baling wire, coat hanger, whatever to hold these up, or I will put a link to these in the description. These are very handy to have around, these hooks. Okay, now this rotor can come right off, and the next thing we got to do is remove this nut right here. I want to say that's a 32 or a 34. This here is another Amazon purchase. I bought this whole set. I will put a link to all of this stuff down in the description for you guys, so it'll make it a little bit easier for you. I am an Amazon affiliate, so that also helps the channel when you buy off my links. Okay. I like doing this right here and just making sure this is movable. If it is not, I suggest maybe you get a rubber mallet or something and try and free this up, because that has to come out of your hub in order to do the rest of this job. If that doesn't come out, then you're gonna have a difficult time. And it's much easier to do it right now when everything else is still hooked up. Next, we're gonna need a 5/16 or an 8. Either one will work. So the 5/16/8, we need to remove this ABS sensor right here. It's just one bolt. And hopefully yours is not mangled up. It is a possibility, and if not, it should slide out fairly easy. Maybe stick a flathead underneath this to push it up to get it going, but this one here is fine. Plus it was out recently anyway, but it still didn't give me any problems coming out. Okay, our next maneuver is going to be removing this tie rod end, and I want to say that that is also an 18 mil. That it is. I got this in the right direction. Nope. It is indeed an 18 millimeter. And again, this hammer is an Amazon purchase as well. Bam, bam. Set that aside. And our next maneuver is going to be removing the bolts out of the strut. You can remove this up here if you want. That's a 10. There's 2 of them actually, and I just usually bend it out of the way for right now, because who cares, right? the tension of the bushings pushes that back up. Okay, now just kind of give that a little love tap. Now the last thing we got to do to get this the rest of the way out of here is this here is a 15 on one side and I want to say 13 on the other. Looks to be accurate. I'm going to remove this CV axle real quick out of the hub. Okay. This is the ball joint we are now removing. Now to remove that, this baby comes in handy again. Oops. Just like so. We are all the way disassembled and it's time to stick the new one in there. But first, I just want to compare and make sure that we're good 100%ly. Everything looks the same back here. Yeah, other than this little bend right here, I don't really care. Not going to affect much. We'll spin the, all this is a dust shield. It's not, that's the only function that it has. I am going to transfer this ABS sensor bolt over to here real quick. However, I really love these vehicles. These Escapes are very good vehicles, very easy to work on and repair. We are on the downward slope now for getting this back going together. Okay, that's tight. Now we'll go ahead and this one, since I just recently greased it, I'm not going to do it again, but do yourself a favor and run a little grease on here, because the next time you got to take it apart, it's so much easier. Just like you guys just saw, this thing came right apart when I pushed it out. Okay, and then just kind of got to get this lined up a wee bit. There we go. Okay, and at this point right here, after I get this hub sticking out, I just usually thread this on again for a minute, just so it doesn't come back out on you. Get these holes lined up. Once you get one going, the other one's usually fairly easy to get lined up. It doesn't really matter which one you do. Okay. Got to get her in the right gear, Shane. Okay, got that tightened. Stick this back in. I usually just give this a little love tap to get her going. Okay, now we bend this back over to here. That's just a snug one. There is a metal sleeve in that, but you still don't want to crack that. Your ABS will go wonky on you. Okay, another thing that I do, and I'm gonna see if this rotor still has it. And you know, it does. I always put a little grease inside of here. I think I'm gonna add some more to this hub actually. What that does is also allows you, next time you do the brakes or whatever, to get it apart easy. Okay, I'm gonna be just a minute more. All right, now we get this back down off of here. One thing that I do like to do while reassembling this is actually get a lug nut and stick it on here. Basically, all I'm trying to do is make it easier to put this caliper back on. These rotors and pads are pretty new, so I didn't have to pry on them at all to get them out of here. You may or may not have to pry on yours. Should have mentioned that earlier. Now the last thing that we got to do is torque the CV nut. Now, This tells us here on this bag, you read that, 222 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of torque. One thing I'm going to say is sometimes when you get these CV axles from AutoZone especially, they will give you what's called a pinch nut, and those mess with the torque value so bad. This is such a better style. When I get those from AutoZone, I just reuse these because honestly, this is such a better style. In fact, I'm going to reuse this again because 220 foot-pounds, that ain't coming off of there. So I'm going to save this in case I need it for something else. I just happen to have one sitting up there, one of the pinch nut styles. This uses these pinches to hold it in, and it actually winds up jacking up the threads on the CV axle as well. So anyway, do yourself a favor, use this or the old one because it's way better. Let me get my torque wrench. I'm going to put a link to this also in the description. This is another Amazon purchase. What we do is spin this. If you see, there's a little dial or a little indicator right there with numbers. Come on. So we go to 200, then we flip this past that to, we got a 225, so I'm gonna go just a shade under that. I didn't realize there is a 225 right here. Just gonna go a shade under that. And this is a lot of dang torque. This is a very important step that this is right, because it's kind of preloading that bearing. My goodness. There it is. Whew. 222 in his house. Now I suggest that now that we've touched the rotor and everything, we spray that off with brake clean. Our tools. Bend that back over here. Okay. 100% satisfied. Take this. Freaking serious, Clark. I don't know if you heard this a minute ago, but my wife just stuck her head out and said dinner's ready. I'm gonna go in and eat and then come back out and take this for a little toot around the block, and I'll bring you guys along. We'd usually have a pretty decent hum going right now. As soon as you hit about 35, 40, it's much more gooder now. Very happy. Again, if you haven't yet, subscribe. If you plan on buying any of this stuff, will you guys please use the affiliate links below? They help the channel out immensely. Well, not immensely, it doesn't give me that much, but it does help. And I also appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Enjoy your week and have a great day. And that was freaking stupid.